Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, here we go. So, a little update from yesterday. We started watching the Bitcoin futures. Really great stuff. Why does that keep coming up? Here we go. So, we're actually a little bit up from where we were yesterday. So I'm just gonna keep the Bitcoin futures over here where I normally have my tapes. We don't necessarily need to see that to trade treasuries. So on the treasuries, last Friday, we had a bit of movement yesterday. Definitely had a good move down, but then by the end of the day, we recovered back to where we were. So unchanged, and then of course in the overnight session we're pretty flat too. Now when I come back here and look at kind of more of a long-term chart, sitting precariously on the edge. So really no way to know which way it's going to go. Although I do expect that the curve will continue to flatten. Today on news, all we've got is the housing index, so nothing too significant. We'll see how it turns out. So we are streaming it live today, which is a little bit different. We already have a couple of people watching, about 50 people watching. So for you guys that don't watch this regularly, my videos I post every day, I do have what we have up here is our Discord, which I have in the video description. So if you want to join the Discord, you're welcome to do so. I do have it. The voice in the background that you can hear, that is the people talking in our bonds room, so we can see what our friends are doing, if they're entering positions or exiting positions. So I am going to trade the 10-year today. What we're doing right now, we're just doing sim trades for a couple of months to make sure that we have the 10-year under our belt. We were doing the 30 before, and we're about ready to go live, but we'll want to have a couple of months sim on the 10-year just to make sure that all of our stats are correct and everything. So I'll be entering orders in here, and just a quick description again, these are limit buy orders, and these are limit sell orders, and these are market buy orders and market sell orders. This is a volume profile, and then this is, of course, this price, and this is just my notes. In this column, you will see where the orders are. So if I enter into a position, this column will change to show you whether I'm, how much money I'm making, basically, or how much money I would make at each price. And this Vista chart is a little messed up. Just do that. Okay. So there is a little bit of movement, so we'll see if they make a move. Also, since I'm trading, you got to be a little bit focused, so there's not going to be quite as much chatting as yesterday, but I will try and watch the chat and answer any questions if people have them. All right, so let's get this link out. We're about 5 seconds delayed, so that's good. I like that delay to be short. So far, Bitcoin futures are still looking a little thin. Still only ones being put up. Not a lot of trades going through. And the treasuries are about to open here in like a minute. So usually on the open, we'll see some orders, and that kind of gives us a clue about what might happen. So I'm expecting maybe Bitcoin futures might not perk up until close to the equities open in an hour.
Fran said, Seth, are you following BTC?
Yep.
Fran said, would you trade it?
No. No. I don't have enough margin to trade it. Maybe sim when the Ninja Trader link works.
Fran said, how do you manage risk with it? Fran said, is it true that you can only buy futures and not sell?
No, that's not true. No, but margin is different between buying and selling.
Fran said, I see. I didn't understand how that could be the case, but I just don't understand the whole thing. There's no there. Fran said, where are the dollars held when you buy a BTC? Fran said, the futures have to be hot air because there's no real delivery, right? Below said, possible.
Oh yeah, sorry, I turned my microphone off for a second. So Jose asks, are you sound bearish in general in Bitcoin? I would say like my short term view is pretty neutral. My long term view in terms of like, do I think that Bitcoin will eventually replace fiat? I don't believe that, no. So I guess in that respect, you could consider me bearish.
Fran said CME starts trading today. Fran said the swings in the UB are decent for scalping. Fran said volume seems about normal. Great Bear said very low volume.
Yeah, given that
Great
there's
Bear said ZN211K, way low.
Yeah, way low. Given that it's a Monday and there's no news today, I expect it to be low.
Fran said I have 54,000 at 080 ZN.
Yeah. When is ETH going to run? I mean, it already kind of ran a little bit, didn't it, on the Thursday? I don't know when you should sell. Don't ask me when you should sell. I'm a scalper, so I don't really have a long-term view on when you should buy or sell. Is not necessarily my thing. Just have an exit strategy. That's all I would say. So if you have any questions about what you're seeing, feel free to ask. I'm going to try to take some trades here. I'm really thinking about selling this 085 in the Treasuries. 08 halves are really what I should be saying. Yeah, well, so if you look back at the CME futures, if I can go back a little bit, there was definitely a sell on the open. You can kind of see back here. But then we recovered. We're a little bit higher. But if you just look at this DOM here, you can only see ones and twos being offered up, and the spread's still very wide. So there's not a ton of liquidity in it yet. I think that we're going to start seeing more liquidity come in when the equity markets open in about an hour. How do I make 100K mining? I have mined Ethereum, but I've only made like $20 in a month. But yeah, Bitcoin is not necessarily my expertise. My expertise is futures. So I can definitely tell you about how futures work and how those function. I don't necessarily know if you should buy or sell your Bitcoins right now. Okay, so they're pushing through, but they're having a little bit of trouble. They're holding it. Interesting. That's already showing up light volume. That could just mean that people want to fade the extremes though. I mean, we're pretty close to the low of the day, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect us to pop up here. Treasuries. Bitcoin's still just kind of floating around. So we're going to wait for this to resolve itself, wait for somebody to win first. I'm really tempted to sell it though.
Cool Running 16 said lend to $1 would be my dream. Space Funky Monkey said me too Drv. ANB said TRX is garbage. Kren said wonder what.
I'm just passing the link around a couple of places. Okay,
Fran
so
said
they
shorted
did break through there.
25 UB plus 2.
You see that 6K there in ZN?
Below said same. Target 22.
Okay, so they're short. See if we can get filled here. Already feeling a little bit tense. It's a slow day, so I don't know if I'm going to get filled there or not. So if you're not familiar with the jigsaw tools, this right here, that's our order. So it estimates that we're 465th in line of 1500. So I'm going to need a couple of buys to get out here, to get in. Is he gonna go? You're gonna leave the station without us?
Below said +3.
Good job.
Heath said below you trading UB now?
Okay, so simulator said I just got filled. It's probably
Below
full
said
of
I
shit
am
though.
digging it a lot.
I want to see another 100 go through there.
Below said it's a good signal for ZB2, of course.
Okay, so I see Carl asks a bit of a non-event so far on the CME. Well, yeah, there hasn't been a ton of volume for sure. I wouldn't necessarily call it a CME or like a non-event because they did kind of sell. Like we didn't get a buy on the open like we did with the CVOE futures, which was interesting. But there's not like a ton of people trading it yet, so we'll see. And the voice, if you look in the video description, you should see a Discord server, and that's what you're hearing. Is you're hearing people in the bonds channel in Discord talking. Okay, so now I think we're short 0.85. Okay, let's see that offer firm up. Come on. Not impressed.
Fran said I like the UB even though lower volume can make it a little whippy.
So it's not necessarily the brokerages coming online. I mean, anybody could be putting in orders in Bitcoin right now. But I'm going to guess, I mean, I'm a Treasuries trader. We're a little bit, we have to wake up early. So I'm sure that most traders are not awake yet. I expect when the equities open, you're going to get a much larger audience and we'll see a lot more action in the futures. So in about 40 minutes or so. Yeah, you guys have been, Fran has been doing really great on UB.
Just an equity home stores in Germany.
Okay, so that call out was financial juice there.
Below said indeed.
For sure. That the main reason I'm streaming this is because I really want Bitcoin traders to understand futures and the advantages of them, and hopefully we see some of those things brought into the cash Bitcoin exchanges. So, and it does help build our channel, which helps us build our community, kind of help people find a place to learn how to trade. So definitely appreciate it. You pass around the link and so forth. In fact, let's just put this on Reddit here.
Fran said the legs are longer. For instance, right now on my Renko chart, UB has 6 bars down, ZB just forming the 5th bar.
Smash like, guys. Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely been priced in, but it's kind of more of a, how is it going to behave? That's the interesting thing, right? It's not that the interesting thing isn't does Bitcoin crash or skyrocket off of it, but the interesting thing is how does it trade? Okay, so we're getting another iceberg here at 8. Bitcoin futures are pretty flat at the moment, although there was a little bit of a sell there. I need to sit back. You can hear me okay, yeah? I know I'm a little soft-spoken, especially in the morning, because I don't want to wake anybody up. Everybody's still asleep. Okay. Need to put a stronger offer. Okay, good. Sometimes I would like to get overly into it and have to be like right next to the microphone. I need to relax. I really might just take one tick on this trade, so it's very slow. Yeah, well, the question is when equities open, will we see the spread come decrease? I think that would be a very important thing to see happen if we're going to trade it. But then also want to see more liquidity on it. So we're going to see if when the equities market opens, if these ones turn to 2s and 3s. That's what I would like to see. Okay, I didn't like that one. So I'm going to take a tick here, hopefully. What I'm seeing here is they're hitting that 08 even, and they weren't really able to break through. I'm also seeing some absorption in the 5-year. So this might indicate that somebody wants to push it up. It's been happening a lot the past little while. Somebody coming out and trying to buy up the futures during the regular session, and then afterwards it fades. So Bitcoin did have a bit of a sell there. Yeah. See, that's when the retail, when the equities market opens, then you think you're going to see a lot more people jump in on the Bitcoin futures. Okay, so it got filled there. So +1. Okay, they're attacking that 085 really aggressively. They did hold. Now I want to buy it. I'm going to set my hands for a little bit. So, same thing the other way. Nobody really wants to put up a bid. I've been in this area so many times where they've bought it, so. Yeah, you know, if you pull my leg and force me to make a prediction on what Bitcoin is going to do, I think that it's going to go up. They did have a little bit of a sell after the future started yesterday, but price stabilized pretty easily. There was not really aggressive selling there down at the bottom, so I think that could be some fuel to push us higher today. And then in the Treasury market, we're kind of sitting on the edge. I would really like to see Treasuries sell, but
time we were getting about consumer confidence for December prior of 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'd really like to see Treasuries sell off, but they're not doing it right now. I'm just kind of stuck here. Obviously, people are still asleep, right? I mean, what brings most of you guys up right now? Are you guys, most of you in the US? Doesn't look like anybody wants to trade treasuries today. Yeah, so I really don't know how people trade without tools like Jigsaw. Especially this cumulative delta. I mean, because you can get cumulative delta on lots of other platforms, but usually you don't only get it for futures. And that's one of the main reasons why I trade futures, because it's the only one that gives me the data that I think you have to have in order to trade this stuff. So it's interesting because it's definitely a significant edge, but in this market, treasuries, it's an edge that everybody has. So really, it's kind of more of a to even be competitive sort of a thing. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty critical. I mean, you can see here there was an iceberg at both 8 and 8/2, and that's why nobody really wants to trade it, because they know that they could just get caught in the chop. And if you're just looking at a chart, how would you know that? There'd be no way to know that. Yeah, exactly. But, my hope is that now that you guys have seen and seen how important it can be, that people start demanding that from the Bitcoin exchanges instead of just putting up with the crappy web APIs that they have. So it's great because it's easy to develop off of web APIs, right? But really, we need like real market data. There needs to be a Bitcoin exchange that provides Rhythmic or CQG data. Yeah. Well, I think that at some point that having the Bitcoin futures up is definitely going to be an advantage, yes. But we really have to see how it trades. If it just trades like this forever, then obviously that's not going to be helpful. But once we start getting some flow, it really looked like last night that the people trading the futures were doing a good job at trading the swings, and you could just follow them and make money. So yeah, and see, trying
Pete
to
said
DOS
26
Rhythmic
is
data
S1.
would be a totally different story. That was a much better sell that time, but there you go. Seeing they pumped it back up. They want to keep it in the range. This guy has been buying. He's been doing this all month. I'm always like, oh, it's going to break through, and he catches it. Okay, so this one window right here, this is your Bitcoin. Okay, and here's the Bitcoin DOM. Oh, look, they actually narrowed up a little bit. So now that we're getting close to 7, maybe some more people are coming in. Anyways, and what you're looking at here on the main screen is Treasury futures. So this is the 30, the 10, and the 5-year, right? ZB, ZN, ZF. And these are limit sell orders, and these are limit buy orders. And then in these middle column, this one is the market buy orders that are going up against those limit sell orders. And these are the market sell orders that are going against the limit buy orders. So right here we can see there was 1,962 sell orders that hit 124.08 even. And the number of bids here, it's only 500, so it's pretty light, but they're not able to break through. Indicates that people are fading this price and that there's probably some icebergs. So it kind of looks like somebody is trying to hold the market here. So that's what we're looking at. And I want to see how many orders does it take to push through and how much do they put up. So they put up 1,000 that time. That's good. We might actually see some people try and sell 07.5 now. So hopefully when the Bitcoin futures get some more liquidity, we can see similar things happen in Bitcoin. So, okay, so they are selling 07.5s. Well, yeah, futures are hard to trade for sure. I mean, if you go in and you start trading futures like ZN, I think that when I started trading treasuries, I would basically lose every day, big time, for like the first 3 months. I think it was hard, and I still find it very challenging, especially day like today when it's just so slow. Well, I would say I actually don't necessarily like a ton of volatility. I mean, I like it to move, but I would prefer it to move in a orderly fashion. You know, volatility equals higher risk. Exactly. You know, the best trades in treasuries are just bubble up trends.
Consumer confidence for December prior of 3.
Okay. So those European numbers in. Well, the thing in the crypto space is that it moves around so much, you can make a decent amount scalping it. Now, you have to make a lot to scalp it to pay for the fees and everything, but it's still, it looks like there's a lot of people day trading Bitcoin that will just buy it and ride the wave up and make good money doing that. I like treasuries though because it has the most liquidity. And these thousands, those protect you. You know, I can put a stop order here at 06.5, and the chances of that touching, you know, are very low. And I would know I'm wrong and be able to get out long before that, before my stop gets hit. And so me getting stopped out of a trade,
There's 2-4 bells in consumer confidence versus a prior of 3.
You know, that's that situation where you're in a trade and you get stopped out, and then after you get stopped out, it goes the way that you wanted it to do. Happens a lot less in the 10-year. Oh, that's right. Don't, for you Bitcoin guys, don't forget that Roger Ver is going to do an AMA on r/BTC. So whether or not you're a fan of him, I think that should be interesting. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so in about an hour is when Raj is going to be on. Bcash. Yeah, I watched that video where they called it Bcash on CNBC. He freaked out. Like, come on, man. Okay, so now that we're in the 9 to 9:30 time period, is kind of tends to be a slow point. So we might just continue to range here. This is where treasuries can be really frustrating for newcomers because it can take a while for them to move. Welcome to the most boring stream, where treasury futures do nothing. Bitcoin futures are actually taking a bit of a dive now, yeah? Just another step down. Nothing huge. Don't panic. I'm not trying to spread FUD. They did go down there. Has the BCH been going up? I have $1 in BCH. I would love for it to be $2. Then I can sell my dollar. The 30-year did a pretty good sell-off there, and the 10 years just sitting here. Just like last week. Yeah, well, you can't deny that Bitcoin Cash had a good run. So I was saying, okay, that was around the time when it started coming down. That was around the time where I said, okay, you know what? I think that I can see some trades in Bitcoin that I can actually make that would be safe. And one of them was that when Bitcoin Cash sold off after the SegWit 2x thing didn't happen, I was like, well, that's not right. So I said, I think we were at like 600. So I said, okay, let's say I buy it at 600. And of course, that would have been an amazing trade, wouldn't it? But I didn't have the money at the time, so I didn't actually put anything on it. Okay, that's looking up. think it was this iceberg right here in ZF that I think woke them up. They're like, oh, they really are going to buy it. Yeah, would have been great if I did. Okay, so I did get filled there. That's good. Look, and they're absorbing. So it looks like we have some participants committing now to going long. So they're trying to hold price even after it ticked up. So they want to push it out. They're trying range extension now. Yeah, I think I got my dollar at like 1600 or something like that. It was tipped to me on r/BTC. Great group of guys, I think. I was also aware, I think we got a lot of our viewers yesterday. Of course, we're nowhere near the 3K that we're watching yesterday, huh? Which is a shame because we're actually trading today, right? They're missing all the real fun. Okay, that's good. 3K to hold it, huh? And Bitcoin continues to come down.
Fran said tried along at 15 but no fill.
I tell you what, like the r/BTC subreddit has way more information than any of the other subreddits out there, especially when you compare it to like what is it, like crypto trading your markets or something like that, and then the default Bitcoin subreddit are just like cheerleading forums. They don't really actually tell you anything about what's going on or what people's theories are. Okay. Yeah, it's the OG people. I think that the shills are on r/Bitcoin, dude. So there's people on both sides on the BTC subreddit. Not everybody over there is a Bitcoin Cash shill.
And Bankier
They
says
definitely do prefer it, though.
To plan to cut 2,510 jobs. That's according to the newspaper Expansion.
Oh, that's unfortunate when people are cutting jobs. Yeah, see, the BTC subreddit is much more ideological, right? I feel like most of the people in the Bitcoin subreddit are more into it's going up, whereas the people in r/BTC are more into Bitcoin is going to take over the world. Could be. You know, the thing that's really interesting about Bitcoin Cash was that there was some large exchanges and so forth that still had their holdings from the fork and were selling it. And during that whole selling period, Bitcoin Cash price held. And I think that's why, now that selling is gone, that's why Bitcoin Cash is moving up now. So there is some real demand in there for it. But I think a lot of that may just be that there's also a lot of people out there that feel like Bitcoin itself is, reaching a mania phase. And so they're trying to get into a better entry into something else. I don't know if that's going to work. I think they'll all go down if there's a break, but yeah, they were saying that Coinbase was going to add PCH, but I haven't actually seen anything that looked reputable that it actually was going to. So we're holding at 0.85 pretty well right there, but I think that we need to get some more attacking in the 5-year at that 0.8 quarter. Whale pool. Am I on that one? I think I am. I think I joined that TeamSpeak. But I haven't seen any interesting discussion in the Discords that I joined, so I haven't really looked at them too hard. Maybe I need to take a second and look at that. I probably just was in there at a time that wasn't interesting. The thing that I like about the Discord that we've got going for futures is that the discussion is purely about the order flow. That one product, so it's super focused.
Zevenzo and said here is the new fake news. Twitter.com.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me click that link. See. API keys are for personal use. Ah, interesting. But you think that screenshot is fake? I don't know, if you wanted to do a pump and dump or you were going to put that much effort into something, why wouldn't you put it into Bitcoin Cash instead of making your own coin?
This is just a sound check. This is live squawk.
IQ said anyone long ZB?
Need to get some water. My mouth is drying up, but I don't want to step away from this trade. Super focused. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I do think
FX news now seeing sterling against the dollar. The cable there hits a day high at 134.13. Next resistance there 134.48.
Okay. There we go. There's a tick. That's what we're looking for. No, I do think that the block size needs to be increased. Them not increasing the block size to 2 like they said they were going to, that was what kind of made me a lot more skeptical of Core. They weren't able to follow through. Now maybe they do it in the future. We'll see. But I do think that the block size should be increased. One is too small. Yeah, look at the fees. That's exactly it. And all they would have had to have done is doubled. They could just increased it to 2. Yeah. Well, we'll see. You know, doing a pump and dump sort of a thing, or just trying
IQ
to
said
control it,
16T reversal play.
I would think in the long run won't work out as well as anybody trying to pull that off would think. Okay, so it's good that now that we've ticked up to 09 even, that it's also absorbing. And we're doing some absorbing at 08 quarter, the 5-year. Bitcoin maybe finding a little bit of support here.
Seeing some comments now from Padoan saying that Italy is eventually to gain from the Banco Paschi recapitalization.
Yeah, well, the Bitcoin Cash one, they have it set up so that they can increase the block size all the way up to like what, 32 megabytes without a fork. And they've tried gigabyte blocks. Well, I just think that the high fees reduce the utility, and the utility is what makes it a store of value. If it doesn't have any utility anymore, then it won't be valuable. So they got to be careful, because if the fees get too bad and everybody starts using Ethereum because it has cheaper fees, you know, they could really hurt them.
IQ said I.imager.com.
What do we got here, IQ? Yeah.
Below said not seeing enough conviction to go long just yet. Gino said 32 megabytes. Well, and in a few hours nobody has HDDs to support the volume. Gino said we are kind of ignoring some stuff.
You know, we were talking about that last night, Geno's, and I don't think that the issue is the hard drive space, right? Hard drive space is super cheap. The problem is the network bandwidth, because then you're transmitting tons of data between nodes. I'm not so sure that I call it sound money policy, but you're talking to a Treasuries trader, so I certainly have my bias there, right? I don't see how you can base an economy on a deflationary money supply, and I also don't see how you can manage an economy when you can't change the basis of the currency based on market conditions.
Welcome to the Americas session on Monday, the 18th of December. This is Live Squawk. At the bottom of the hour, Wall Street shares are set to open higher in a broad-based push on Monday. Light on data, however, today, the best we've got, 1500 hours London time, US NAHB.
Gino said, well, then you have one more proof there.
But for all that, there is a fair amount of equity news, significantly a lot of takeover traffic this morning. Hershey, the chocolate maker, struck a deal to buy Amplify snack brands for $12 a share. That's 71% higher.
Gino said side chains are the key. RSK will help quite a lot. For instance,
70% at $11.95 pre-market today.
Yeah, and I'd say
Entertainment, the
let's let this guy finish.
Will be bought by rival Penn National for about $2.8 billion in cash and stock. Shares of Pinnacle up 4.7% at $32.40 pre-market. Campbell Soup announced a deal to buy snacks maker Snyder's Lance in a deal worth $50 a share. That's nearly $4.9 billion. Campbell's shares were down 2.2% at $48.50, while Snyder's Lance shares, they were up 6.9% at $50 exactly. And Oracle, the business software giants shares, they edged down 0.4% to $48.50. That's after the company struck a $1.2 billion deal to buy Australia-based project management software maker Iconics. Meanwhile, Twitter was upgraded to overweight from neutral by JP Morgan Chase, calling it one of its top mid-cap ideas for 2018. The brokers said they think Twitter's offerings are improving and will lead to user and revenue growth. Twitter shares up 6% at $23.25. Staying with tech, Europe has hit Amazon with a huge tax bill. Recent EU investigations into illegal state aid have resulted in some major penalties. The EU ordered Amazon to pay 250 million euros in October after finding that it benefited from an illegal tax arrangement with Luxembourg. Meanwhile, regulators are also investigating the tax arrangements of McDonald's in Luxembourg. Amazon shares, however, are bearing up, currently 0.9% higher at $1,189.63. AT&T and the Justice Department in the United States held unsuccessful talks to settle their dispute over AT&T's proposed acquisition of Time Warner, according to a court filing. The Justice Department is suing to stop the $85 billion deal because of competitive concerns. AT&T shares firmer, however, by 0.6% at $38.45. And Akamai in Technologies shares, they jumped by 12.5% to $65. That's following news that activist investor Elliott Management took a 6.5% stake in the company. Elliott contends that shares in Akamai, which develops internet content delivery technology, are undervalued. And finally, looking at the indicators, cable firmer by 0.65% at $1.3407, and the 2-year Treasuries yield 1.848%. That's up a bip. 10-year T-notes 2.374%. That's up 2 bips. Crude oil's WTI, meanwhile, up 0.65% at $57.70.
Okay. So I think Crash just said it right. The big thing I remember when Bitcoin came out was that a lot of people, especially like the Ron Paul super libertarian contingent, didn't like inflation. And what do you know? Inflation is it's a problem that we don't have enough inflation apparently. But I would say instead of taking my word for it, watch Treasuries for a little while. Because I think when you watch Treasuries, you see how it moves in relation to how the market works, and you really understand.
Some security news now. U.S. Air Force's British base at Mildenhall is in lockdown over security incident. That's being reported by Sky News, citing sources.
And, you follow the news, you start to understand the curve. I think it might change your opinion on that kind of a system. Oh, good tick up again. Well, it is. So the issue with the inflation is that the Federal Reserve needs to normalize monetary policy, because if we have another, another crisis or a recession, they're not going to be able to help very much because they can only lower interest rates by a few quarters of a point. And meanwhile, so they need to raise interest rates.
Meanwhile, some equity news, there are no plans to revise.
Fran said, what is RSK?
But they're kind of run the risk of having the yield curve invert on them because the inflation is so low. So
Heath said Bitcoin stuff, Fran.
Yeah, more likely to make a mistake. Sorry, did that make sense? I know it was a little I had distractions there, so that was a
Fran
little
said,
cut up.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gino said RSK.co.
have to look that up. Yeah, well, so I don't think that, sorry, what is the other school? I forget the name that we call it. I don't think that either side is entirely correct. But I think that part of it is because a lot of it comes down to details, you know, like monetary stimulus can work.
Gino said something that if people know
If
will
it's
hurt
done
very
right.
badly Ethereum and the rub H people like Roger invents.
If it's done right. So we have seen
Fran
some
said,
cases.
yeah, that would be better. Getting confused with two instruments being discussed.
Yeah, keep the in the, oh, very nice tick up. Do I want to take it off here at 1.5 or 10.5? Yeah, so in the Discord, let's keep the Bitcoin stuff into the Bitcoin channel and vice versa, so that the Treasury traders aren't distracted.
Below said short 22.
Should I take it? 4 ticks is usually a good trade here. That was actually a pretty significant buy there. And
Fran said good idea.
Okay. Well, yeah, but what's going to happen if you have, you know, if the economy was based on Bitcoin and you have a recession, you have no way to change the money supply. So if it turns out that the amount of money out there is a big problem, you're just SOL. Well, I would prefer that we had a balanced budget, right? And that the government wasn't just printing money to keep itself afloat. That's definitely a problem, right? But I also don't think that if you just put the whole thing in the hands of the economy, that that's going to work out in the long run. Oh, they're going to go for the highs for sure here. Look at this. So let's pull up our 30-minute chart and try and look for some targets here now, since it's went past my range target. Okay, so 130 is a good spot at the high. And then beyond that, 19 that was the high from, oh no, so 19 and 21. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that. But anyways,
Fran said, Seth, how are your fills on the ZN?
Good. That's very good today. Anyways, I would say just watch the treasuries and watch the yield curve. I think the more you understand it, kind of changes your views on things, even if you're a hardcore libertarian. I think we need more hardcore libertarians that understand treasuries. I feel like people say, well, I don't like the Fed, so I'm not interested in treasuries. But I think that if you don't like the
Below
Fed,
said out +2.
treasuries should be the thing you're most interested in, right? Because you have a counter argument that isn't represented enough in the market that you can make money off of. Okay, so that bid is not
Fran said
terribly
UB
strong.
looks like have to give up a tick occasionally.
Firm up there, come on.
Fran said no fills turn out to be fairly common.
Yeah, it could be. You know, one of the things that makes it really hard to predict with Bitcoin is that right where Bitcoin is right now, you certainly couldn't base an economy on it, right? It's simply not stable enough. But maybe someday we get to that point where it's they feel like it's fairly priced and it's stable, then maybe we could say a little bit more about how it might behave, like say during a recession or things like that. Because my concern would be that you'd have a recession and then the price of Bitcoin goes like way up, and that's super deflationary. And I don't think that would be very kind to you during a recession. Yeah, it's simply too low to base an economy on. I do think it has a lot of utility though, right? I mean, the transaction costs are a little bit of a problem right now, and the time that it takes to get filled, but Bitcoin can improve, and it's always changing. And I think that ability to make a transaction is really useful, and it's something the world needs. What if people don't overinvest because they would rather just hold? Well, for it to really be the basis of a world economy, people are going to have to use it, right? They can't just hold it forever. Obviously, hold is the way that you, excuse me. Hold is definitely the way to go if you want to make money trading Bitcoin, for sure, right? I mean, I think the fact that we're even higher than we were after the Mt. Gox crash says that hold is the right strategy. But in terms of like increasing market adoption, I think it helps Bitcoin more when you use it. Am I going to get filled here? Looking a little scary. Oh, I'm going to move it down. Okay. They're trying to coax some buyers in. Oh, look, it's holding. Look at that. Okay, we're going to hold off for a little bit. Whew. A little intense there, guys. Not having at least 1% of your net worth in Bitcoin is a risky move. Well, I will say I think everybody should play with it, you know? I would like to see more people involved in investing, because the ownership of stocks is like at all-time lows. That's not good. We need to get people investing again. Okay.
Brand said short 18.
Okay, so I just got out there. Oh, +4. You're right. Well, I didn't make any moves way back in the day. I really wish that when it started, because I was watching it from the very beginning. I remember that first post on Reddit where it was first announced, and going, well, that's not going to work to replace an economy. Saying the same thing that I do now, but I wish that I had
Brand
at least
said out
mined it.
+2.
I could have mined coins
Brand
back then,
said
and I
ES is flying.
probably would have held them, because my opinion is when you have something like that out there, there's always going to be somebody that thinks it's worth something. Always. Like Bitcoin could crash a dozen times and everybody could basically agree that the idea didn't work, but there would still be people out there willing to buy it and you could make money off of it. Okay, I'm going to be right back and just going to get some water here. All right. So we did tick down. Okay, so are they bottoming out here a little bit in Bitcoin? There's still a huge spread. Big spread. And equities has started, so we're still not... Well, it's a little better. There are a couple of twos on there. But I was expecting a little bit more than that. And I was certainly expecting the spread to come down. Okay, that's a little better. A 4-tick spread is a little more reasonable. Hey, you know what? There is no shame in taking a profit. And look at what I just did right there, right? I mean, I really thought, let's pull this up. Here we are. There we go. Okay, so I've made 5 ticks today. Okay. So this went MFE of 6. I could have sat there and I could have said, oh, I definitely want that 110. Or, you know what? I think it's going to come back and it's going to go higher and it's going to get 130. But you know what? I have 4 ticks and that's good too. So even if it does go up higher, that's still okay. I still had a good trade. You don't have to hit it out of the park every time. You know, I would prefer to just be consistent, make a little bit every day. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, in the Bitcoins, I mean, there's opportunities every day. Ethereum still hasn't really broken out as heavy as its use suggests, and I'd say that's probably true of
Brand
Litecoin
said,
and
Seth,
the
how
others.
do you like AMP? Is there a replay capability on the platform?
That's a good question, Fran. I have not looked at replay. I had trouble getting set up, but it worked with me. And it's been great ever since. Yeah, the best thing about AMP is they're cheap.
Brand said, which platform do you use?
Yep. Yeah, I thought you already had one, Fran, though, where you must be with somebody else. Yeah, most people can't take a profit, hence why they get caught out easier. Well, I mean, here's an example of where the order flow really helps you, right? Because we got out at 110, didn't we? It doesn't say what the last was for some reason. That's unfortunate. But we got in at 0.85 and we got 5.
Brand said, so you get Ninja free?
Yeah, so there was 1-2 ticks past us, but then it came down. So we actually picked the pivots really well there because of the order flow.
Brand said, do you pay for Rhythmic?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm using the free version of Ninja, so I can only use it for charts and not submitting orders. Or and then Rhythmic is like $15 a month for all CME products per month. Have to pay $7 per trade? Is that just the commission on a Bitcoin futures contract?
Brand said, okay, TKS.
So I think I'm doing about $5 a round turn. So that's one of the reasons why I moved to
Brand
ZN,
said,
because I would
thinking of
overtrade.
switching brokers.
Oh, okay. Who are you using right now, Fran?
Fran said I've always had Ninja.
Oh, the Ninja Trader brokerage. Ah, okay.
Fran said I was on TradeStation before.
Well, I've heard.
Fran said I have a very old account with AMP.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them. But AMP has been working really well for me, so.
Below said got my broker to go down to $1.80 per round turn on ZB and UB.
Oh, that's
Fran
really
said
good.
yeah, but they are not supporting NT7 anymore, so it's starting to op problems.
You don't
Fran
like
said
NT8?
and I don't like NT8. Below said using TradeOf8 currently.
I've still had problems with NT8. It's
Fran
usually
said
good,
yes.
but
I tried
yeah.
TradeOf8 when it first came out.
Yeah.
Fran said I
NT8
think I'll
still
take a
has
look at them
problems.
again. I understand they upgraded a lot. Fran said the demo.
So Jeffrey, why do you say BitMEX? What is unique about that exchange?
Fran said I tried NT8 a few times, I hate the graphics, the print is too small, options are limited.
Okay, okay. Oh, so BitMEX are futures, so you get the leverage. Do you really need the leverage? What is the minimum size though? Like how much margin would I have to put up to be able to trade there? Let's look them up. BitMEX. The Bitcoin merchant. Oh, clever, clever, clever. I like it. Contract details. It's $1. It's 1-to-1. Oh, but it looks like you'd still need $20,000 to trade one contract. Yeah. Am I reading that wrong? Margin's the issue. So. Oh, maintenance margin is 0.5.
Fran said haven't tried that.
So realistically,
said
you'd only
Keith
need
and I use it.
$1,000.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so you'd only need like $1,000 to trade it. Well, that's not bad. Of course, that's crazy leverage.
Fran said I need the replay capability. NT7 replay doesn't work anymore for the DOMs.
Yeah, so my futures trading, I used to do a TST combine, and I was actually doing
Fran
really
said
good on
they
it.
won't fix it. Here's the message I got from them.
Was doing really good on it, but it would just took too long to go through. So like it was like 2 months, 3 or 4 months even sometimes to hit the profit target. And I had several times where like, I started with a drawdown and then I'd make $3,000 and hit the target. So At that point, I decided that I wasn't profitable enough to really hit their targets the way that they wanted, even though I was profitable or at least break even. So when that happened, I decided, okay, I'll switch to ZN because I wasn't going to hit the combine target with ZN, but ZN is a lot safer. So I switched to ZN, and I'm trading ZN now until probably February or March to make sure that my statistics still stay good. And then if they do, then I'm going to move to live. So I have a video on my channel where I talk about Top Step Trader that I'd encourage you to go and read and leave your comments on what you think about it, because I have very mixed feelings about Top Step. On one hand, I really like them and what they're doing, but on the other hand, it's a total money grab. So they're saying Sierra has good replay mode.
Fran said I need Jigsaw, spent too much time learning it, don't want to start over again.
You gotta have Jigsaw. I swear by Jigsaw. Yeah, downside, getting a margin call because you leveraged 1-to-1. I mean, here's the thing: is if you're only putting up 0.05 margin, so you're putting up 1,000 in margin. Let's say they have a $2,000 account. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy for Bitcoin to move $1,000 in a day.
Below said if you use Treasury, you can use the Jigsaw through that and use their replay mode.
Yeah, and they've put a lot of work into that Treasury replay too.
Fran said, yeah, I think I'll try that.
Yeah, then you buy it on huge margin. I think I would rather just buy $100 in Bitcoin though. Then I'm not putting a whole lot of risk on the table. See, for me, I mean, obviously I want to make lots of money. Everybody wants to make a lot of money, but I just enjoy the trading aspect of it, and I really like the way that treasuries work. That's so I don't ever see myself stopping from trading treasuries.
Fran said I like the ATM at Ninja, but just will have to work with the Jigsaw order entry system if I go with Treasury.
It doesn't mean that I won't ever trade other products. I'd like to trade Bitcoin too, but I think I'm always going to watch the treasuries too. Always set stops before liquidity on BitMEX, otherwise you donate to the insurance fund. I remember that big day when they crashed after, well, let's not call it a crash, but when we had that pullback off of the whole SegWit thing, there was a lot of people got stopped out, and they were saying that people just completely pulled the liquidity and brought it down several $100s and then right back up to stop everybody out. Super shady. We're definitely coming back. Look at this here in the 5-year. Let's take a picture of it and put it into Discord here. ZF on low of day.
Fran said the footprint is Sierra. Below said all Sierra, yeah.
So here in the 5-year, we came back significantly, and we had significant selling in the 5-year, and we're actually up. And here in the 10, and sold a little bit. The 5 is, sorry, the 30 is still sitting on the lows. But we had some significant steepening there. Look at this. There's that's your knob spread down at the bottom, that yellow line, significant steepening. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Why would we be steepening right there? Are we just pulling back because we had so much flattening last week? I tell you what I really want though is options. Find me if I could buy Bitcoin puts, because I definitely would have bought them there before the whole SegWit thing. And if my indicator ever gets up to that 150 area, I would definitely do that as well. Oh, speaking of which, we should go and post on Patreon now that we're off of our now that we're out of our trade, and I don't want to take it right here. Oh, looks like everybody is awake now. There we go. Okay, so for those of you that subscribe to the Patreon, I have the charts all up now. So if you go to patreon.com/speculatorseth, and I put it out for the $5 subscribers. And then if you're not a subscriber, you still want to see the charts, I do have it set up so that 3 days from now it'll become public. So if you don't want to subscribe right now, which is totally cool, you know, I'm not begging for money or anything, and just kind of trying to provide a service because there's interest in it. But if you want to come back later and look at that, it'll be there. So okay, let's see here. Where are we at on the conversation now? Bitfinex is the USD lending rate. So tell me, what is your favorite Bitcoin exchange? Because I've been using for altcoins, I've been using Bittrex. Yeah. So you like BitMEX. You know, now that we have CME futures, I hope at some point maybe we will have options. and then options would be a great way to play it too, because, you know, they'll be a lot cheaper than the margin required to trade the future, at least. Let's do this. Permissions. There we go. Is it working? I hope it's working. Edit channel, permissions.
ETH said test.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
IQ said L at 26.
Cool. All right.
Jack said test.
So they don't like BitMEX, huh? Seems like that some of the European exchanges are better, but I think that that's because
ETH said
the
good
regulatory
thinking,
requirements for them aren't as good or aren't as high, because it takes a lot to be able to exchange for cash for USD. Bitfinex is the master race one. That's the one they really don't like, huh? What makes Gemini a safe exchange? I know GDAX because it's tied to Coinbase's a lot of liquidity, but why Gemini? And why did the CBOE choose Gemini? I've wondered. Thickest books. Okay. Sure, yeah. I think.
IQ said 126 wazers.
The more liquidity something has, the safer it is to trade for sure. That's why I trade the 10-year, because it has the most liquidity of anything in the world. Except for maybe the Bund. Bund might actually have more at the moment. Does it really? I had not read that. Where did you read that, godly people? Say that? Excuse me. I'm getting the burps today. Do they have that in there on the CME or CBOE website? Yeah. Well, we've been sitting here. They gonna push it back up again? Yep. Okay, so they broke out of the range. So that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, yes. Okay. Let me fix that, Fran.
IQ said maybe it's the holiday crowd.
Oh yeah, let's add Jordan in here too.
Fran said working. Jordan said, oh, I think it's because I was in invisible mode.
Gotta fix some permissions here in TeamSpeak Discord.
Jordan said test.
There we go. Okay. So why won't it let me? That's really weird. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to give this guy permissions, because when we right click on him it doesn't let us add him. Server settings, roles. There he is. There we go. All right, that should get it. Okay.
Jordan said it works.
All right, there we go.
Jordan said thank you.
Okay, so we did have in Bitcoin, price seems to be stabilizing, but we're not actually seeing a lot of orders hit through to buy it. This right here, that's weird. How it was switching back and forth there. It's crazy. Yeah, so it looks like they don't want to take us above 115 in Treasuries yet. Yeah, so I wonder with these exchanges, like how much risk do the exchanges expose themselves to? Like, is there a situation where if, let's just say, extreme example, Bitcoin became useless, are all of these exchanges still liquid at that point? Or, because I wonder how, if the Tether conspiracy theories turned out to be true, how that might affect some exchanges. So what happens if they have all of this Tether in a wallet and suddenly it's worthless? Would they suddenly be in trouble, or would they be able to just say, sorry guys? Well, that is a lot of absorption there at 110. So it looks like somebody wants to try and push it to the highs. Many people will cry. Well, there will definitely be a lot of salt if there's ever a 50% decline in price. Yeah, no government buyouts. Hope you guys aren't too bothered by that background noise there. My kids are making weird noises. If Tether goes down, it would be because of Fed's not insolvency. Okay. That's well, it's a theory, but I think you have a good point there. Jeez. And see, I really need to fix the session. It still won't show me a chart here. Could be that Ninja's just not equipped to handle the instrument correctly. Maybe I need to update NinjaTrader today. I'm sure all of these exchanges make a lot of money. We are still steepening. Okay, they weren't able to hold 110. And they're still selling the 5-year. So as tempted as I am to buy here, I'm going to let this play out. We might get, you know, a flush lower. The 30-year might win here. Ugh. Yeah, they need to move to rhythmic data, man. Whole different world when you have rhythmic data instead of APIs. And took another step up there in Bitcoin. Still not seeing the cumulative delta really come in though. Now let's get rid of these other charts since they're not too useful right now. Yeah, that's better. Well, this, you know, CME and CBOE are working with the exchanges. Maybe that'll change soon. So I worked for a bank for about 6 years in technology. Nope, it's not tanking yet. We are down a little bit. I wouldn't call it tanking though. Nah, it's basically like a socket, yeah. It's a continuous stream. It's a continuous data stream. That's how I'm getting what you're seeing right now is through rhythmic. Transitioning Saturn conjunct natal Pluto. You know what? When I was still trading for the bank, right next to our building, there's this super small broker. So one day, because I wanted to talk to a trader, so one day I went in there and talked to him, and there's this Asian guy, and he'd been trading for a long time. Like he traded back in the 80s, and he showed me a chart that he had done himself. He had written it out in ink, but he had to go in every day and mark what the high and low price was and everything, because they didn't have charting software. And he was trading on lunar cycles. And he had trades where he said, okay, here was where the cycle changed, and I bought and I made a ton of money. And it actually worked for him. It was kind of funny. Nobody really uses those methods anymore, but back in the 80s, that was a thing. I think that long-term futures should stabilize Bitcoin, yeah. Long-term. We are getting, you know, see, look at that. There's 3 people on the bid now, so that's good. That's a good sign. Yeah, it was really cool talking to that guy. I actually have been seeing it more often. Maybe it will come back into vogue. I believe it to some extent. I've noticed that like the market will go through cycles, and when the market cycle changes, it's like people's lives change. It's like your daily schedule changes. And like when the market is down, it seems like everybody I talk to is having a bad day. Maybe that's just confirmation bias, but it really seems like that happens. Nah, Nick Jensen, I doubt that it would be like that. I think that you have to think of Bitcoin futures as just another exchange coming online. So we'll just provide more liquidity, and we'll provide people that previously weren't able to play on Bitcoin price to be able to do so. So more liquidity will just mean more stability. Won't necessarily make it go up or down. So let's look at some headlines here while we're... Goldman thinking volatility will still be low next year. I hope not. This second half of this year, the volatility has just been crazy. Oh, now they want Franken to stay, huh? That's interesting. Interesting comments from Donald Trump this morning about firing Mueller and stuff, basically saying that the whole media story is a fake news. Okay, what are we saying? So on an exchange like BitMEX, do they require you to have more margin if you sell it? If you go short? Oh yeah, the CME futures, you definitely have to have a lot of money to be trading them. And you can see here, there's not a lot of people out there that have that much money. I'm hoping at some point, maybe the CME will make like, something comparable to the E-mini, so that, that trades, a small fraction of a Bitcoin instead, so that more people can play it. I think that they have to really stabilize things and get this larger market really going first before they would do that. But it's been a slow day, but it actually moved by really quickly for me. So I did fail there. I'm just waiting to see if they decide to aggressively start selling this 10. And then I might try another short. But usually around between 8:30 and 9 is usually when I stop trading. Today I'm going to stick around so that we can watch what Bitcoin does a little bit more. I took the day off. Okay. ZB just broke a new low. Okay, so that's a good question, Zrak. So this right here, this indicator down at the bottom, is called cumulative delta. So basically every time somebody buys, it goes up by 1, and every time somebody sells, it goes down by 1. And you can see for the session, we're net short 31 at 28 contracts. So they did overall short it, but there's not a ton of people trading it yet. So yes, they are, the sentiment has been short, and of course that makes sense because we've been down in price. But right now, it doesn't really look to me like people are trying to make moves happen in the futures. They're just trading what GDAX and Bittrex are doing, and they're just following it. What I will say though is it looks like the guys that are trading this are okay at trading it. It looks like some people are making money on this. The market orders are making money on this. Yeah, at some point they're gonna have to close their positions. That last little move up there in Bitcoin looks like it pushed a couple of people to buy just now.
So just a quick look at the currency pairs now. That's cable trading at 133 at 99, just heading at 134 now. Euro dollar strength now, heading up to 118.23. Dollar yen, it's a 112.45.
If you say so, Mike. It's delayed, so I don't think anybody really cares. So the squawk is, where is it? Yeah. The squawk that you're hearing is financial juice, and it is free. So yeah, if they have a problem with us live streaming it, we can always just go back to posting it afterwards. That's okay. Now, I would really like to pay for a squawk service, but man, they are dang expensive. Yeah, it's the nice ones like Rand Squawk and stuff, so expensive. So expensive. Really, it really seems like it's just only designed for companies to be able to use. Well, man, it looks like that flattening is not letting up. Or sorry, the steepening. Also, E-mini looks a little weak to me right now. I'm gonna show you that really quick. Here's my chart for the E-mini. See that cumulative delta going down? It looks a little weak to me. Well, so if it's a free surface, who are they broadcasting? Certainly they must have a deal or something with them. It's the same person asking how to take a screenshot on Mac from yesterday. Ah, okay. I think I'm actually following them on Twitter. Yeah. If they do it again, I'll get rid of them. Oh, so they are broadcasting live squawk. So how does Financial Juice get away with broadcasting it then? That's interesting. How did you know that? Yeah, I don't mind either. There's not any news releases really today, but when they happen, that's definitely the way to hear it. Okay. So they're going to come back up again? They're going to try and push through here finally? Or is this just the knob spread pushing them? They might try and make a real push here. Oh, sure. Okay. So ZB is pushing new lows. It's so hard to say what it's going to do because ZB could end up dragging us down and then we could see the note try and push the lows again. At the moment, the spread is pushing the note up. It could also be that...
From Prime Minister May speaking in the House of Commons currently.
These could just pull us up. Could be the bond is oversold. So I don't really have a super high probability here. I do like it, prefer it long at the moment. And on Bitcoin, it still looks like a long. Though they have a bit to really recover, don't they? So here there was this, you see that order that was there at 19,200, and now it's pulled a little bit. I wonder if we'll continue to push through now and go up to 20K again. $18,900. And 5 years taken off. Oop, I put it in the wrong channel. Definitely spreading.
There's more in South Africa now picking up on a Reuters witness. That's ANC leadership candidate Ramaphosa is grinning on stage and hugging senior ANC officials, so nothing official coming yet. So we're seeing the dollar now falling minus 2.8%.
Well, nobody's going to hold it for long. I'm sure that...
Heath said, yeah.
Where were we when we opened?
Weird. Not even worth looking at other instruments. LOL.
Yeah, seriously. How long does weed stay in your system? Don't do any of that stuff. So, makes you lazy, guys. Then they failed it again. Man. Often when we see significant moves in the spreads, we tend to get big moves. We did get a decent, I mean, we did get an 8-tick move in the bond, but that's not a huge move. Weed makes you trade better. Might relax you. If that's your problem, then it might relax you, but that's not the only thing that you need to trade. How would you handle? I mean, I've never smoked weed before, so I don't really know how that feels. But doesn't that tend to make you feel paranoid? How would you handle that? So we're net short 35 contracts right now in the Bitcoin futures.
The comments now from May speaking in the comments saying we are well on our way to delivering a smooth and orderly
Too late. You saw that they stacked it there. Should have just bought it at 120, huh? Okay, now that the bond is starting to come up a bit.
IQ said I.imager.com.
Yeah. He sees it too. The 25. The big order here, 25. You can see all the orders above us. It looks like there's people both ways, actually, in the 10. Yep, they're holding it aggressively. They want highs of the day. Fill me. Okay. You could try 1-to-1 on this one. Yeah, you can see that. It really looks to me like the E-mini is about to take a dive. I think they're going to push the E-mini down and the bonds are going to pop up here. So that's the kind of the play that I'm making at the moment. And just that right there, that buy, that's our entry signal. Just poke in here real quick. Do we have any? Haven't had very many big buys in. You can just see here in the E-mini, here's my chart. Look at the cumulative delta. They're selling the E-mini. It's looking toppy. It doesn't look like I got a very good entry though there, did we? It was at least too early because I could have gotten in just there. Good bid right there. Really firmed up fast. I think that'll rush up through here. This is often where I start to feel nervous because I'm sitting here going, okay, well, they're not hitting 130 like right away. Maybe I should just take my one tick. But I'm pretty confident there's a lot of people that are going to have to get stopped out here. So I think we should go.
Now we're seeing the rand rallying at more than 3%. It's the highest level since mid-June. Over reports that Ramaphosa has appeared to one leader in South Africa.
Huh. Triple top.
Just getting comments now from EU markets watchdog ESMA has issued a MiFID II guidance due to many EU
Yeah,
states not
so
having
here's my chart on the 10-year.
Trader platforms authorized under existing
So
EU can still operate when MiFID II starts on January 3rd. Trading platforms from states have not implemented MiFID II can continue operating across the EU and issues a similar guidance for existing EU passports held by investment firms.
Big thing is that this one down here, that's the knob spread. For some reason, we're steepening today. I'm not sure I understand why, but it's pretty significant. And usually we tend to follow the knob spread. So I think that we could get a little bit more of a move up, but it kind of looks like it's breaking out and they want to attack highs. And they might go for 160, 18, and 21 in the 10-year. Let's just watch the order flow. If they give up, we'll probably see a big drop there. Right now, it looks like people are rotating through pretty healthily, meaning they're taking long positions and they're getting out at specified targets and then getting back in again and rotating in and out, so it can just keep going. Okay, this is a pretty big bid there. I'm thinking that these guys want to be filled. Sure is taking its time today to do things, isn't it? That 117 is probably going to give us a bit of trouble. Oh, I forgot about the Bitcoin AMA, so let's see what Mr. Ver said. Oh, so he actually was doing it as a YouTube stream. That's cool. The top question is about Tether. They're really obsessed about that Tether thing, aren't they? What does the colorful second column, third in the middle? Oh, yeah. So you're talking about this. This is my position. So I have orders
Lock
in
buy.
here. Oh, is that Tyler? That was Tyler. He bought at 130. Tyler is what we call this block buy order that comes through in the note. That's a 3K order. At 36 right there. We call him Tyler. Ah, geez. Well, that's not what you want to see. So anyways, these are my orders, and then these numbers right here, that's just how much I would make if I got out at that price. All right, let's see how they react to this. They definitely faded him right immediately afterwards. But he was a buyer, right? Yep, he was buying. Let's pull that back up. There we go. I wonder why it does that every time I... Okay, was I talking about the wrong one? This is your orders. This is volume profile, price, bids, market sells, market buys, offers.
More comments now from Prime Minister May saying a senior member of the negotiating team has told the UK it can have a bespoke trading arrangement after Brexit.
Okay, so this is curious that they're trying to pressure him this hard. Often we get pegged, but if we're going to get pegged, it's going to be at 130. So we'll move our order down to there. Well, I think what's going to happen is they're going to try and keep him underwater. It looks like they're not having a whole lot of success pushing it further down. So he might win out. And then if we get above 130, it could go a little bit more. Because then all of the people that tried to stop him out have to exit. The offers actually, there was some pulling there to pull it down there. It's interesting. Okay. Ugh, not liking that. Come on. Nope. Could just get out at 125 and be happy with one. The fact that when we ticked up that one time that there was some buy orders there makes me think that we still have a good chance of getting filled. Not a lot of people looking to sell it there. Yeah, sure, Looper. I'll try and explain what we're going on. So for the Bitcoin people, what you're looking at is this Vista chart here. And the gray are basically bids and offers. So the brighter the color is, the more bids or offers were at that price. And the yellow is just the best bid and best offer that we have on there. Here you're looking at the Treasuries, so I'm putting a trade in here. This is the 30, the 10, and the 5. The blue column are bids, the red column are offers, so these are basically limit orders sitting on the exchange looking to get filled. And then these numbers in the middle are market orders hitting the bid and offer. So right now you can see they tried pushing up through 12.5 in the 10-year, and now people are fading it. So I'm thinking about bringing my order down and just getting out with one tick. But it's just kind of sitting there on the edge. I think that they kind of want to make another shot at it, but I don't know. They're doing the same thing in the 5 years, so I think I will. I'm going to move my order down. No sense in being a dick for a tick. So then these are, you know, the same Vista chart, but for the Treasuries, essentially. It looks a little different just because there's so much more liquidity in the, you know, right now these are only trading ones. And here we have 3K. Okay, so I'm out. So it took one tick on that. So 6 ticks today. Is that, oh, come on, fix that. There we go. That's good. I'm really happy with that. I was afraid streaming it and having people and trying to talk, because I know that it's really boring if nobody's talking. I was afraid that, you know, maybe it would distract me a little bit and I'd have, you know, tilt and have some bad trading, but it was a good day. So I think that's all, unless we have like some super huge move. That might be all of the Treasury trading that I do today. So where are we at? How long has this been streaming for? Okay, so we're almost to 3 hours. I think at 4 hours is when
the currency pairs now. That's cable down to 134.03, euro dollar down to 118.17, and dollar yen at 112.38.
Well, so it's $5 a round turn, so I've made $10 there. Yeah. Usually you tend to get a bigger move than that. I like a trade to be 4 to 8 ticks. But you know, took 3 trades, $5 a round turn. It's like $15. It's definitely a lot better if you trade CB for the tick to commission ratio, but ZN is so much safer. And I can control my risk in ZN a lot easier too. So the minimum is definitely way too much for me to trade with my account on the Bitcoin futures. I could do it simulated, but I don't want to mess up my Rhythmic sim account, and I can't. Really, to do it, I would have to be putting in orders in Ninja, but Ninja is being weird. It doesn't seem to understand the contract yet, so I won't be putting any sim trades in for Bitcoin today. Other than maybe sitting down on a piece of paper and saying, okay, let's say we bought it here. So we did, remember earlier we said, okay, here's this big order here at 19,200. And look, it just barely touched it and then faded off of it. That's the power of order flow. So I'm thinking if you had put that as your exit, it does not look like you would have gotten filled there. If I'm reading that correctly. Okay, so there they are with the 125 again. Probably now that I'm out, it's going to go on and continue. Okay, few people buying 130. The problem is that's where our big fish got in. Okay, that's a much better bid now.
This is from the IMF now. It sees a Belgium real GDP growth of 1.75% in 2017. That's near 2% next year.
All in life, so you have your life savings on Litecoin. Is that what you think we should do? It should have sat on my hands. Well, we still wouldn't be filled at 130 quite yet, would we? I think it's going to clear, though. Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely more liquidity in the Bitcoin futures, it looks like. There's still a big spread, though. So I definitely think that Tether is usable info. I mean, really, every time that they have a significant print in Tether, it goes up. I think almost literally every single time that I've been on the BTC subreddit and somebody's posted that, it's gone up. As for whether or not it's real, I'm certainly concerned that they haven't provided the info, but there's no proof.
Foreign exchange market seeing some big moves there. The South African rand firming 4% against the US dollar. That's to 12.55.
Nobody cares about the South African rand.
Leadership election results.
I didn't even know you could trade that. But yeah, you know, there's no proof, but you would think that they would be able to provide an audit or something given their business. But that just might mean that they're stupid. That might not mean that they're doing something shady. Yeah, it's gone up every time I've taken a poop down. Well, it's been going. And they've hitting that 20K was significant, I think. I don't see anything in the immediate future that would cause a crash, you know, in the next few days. But you never know. I think that when it happens, it's going to be kind of quiet. Like, you know, we just haven't been up in a while, and some people decide to take their profits and pushes it down. Well, they're going to have to pay them to do it, right? But I'm just saying, if they really have all of that money sitting in a bank account somewhere, it should be easy for them to tell us how much is in there.
Regulatory treatment.
I'm sure you want to see today's chart. So I did post it on, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you can see all of the charts. But I'll show you today's Bitcoin. So we actually came down a little bit. It's really hard to see. Let me see if I can make it like really big. Oh, come on. See, oh, I need to change the output, the way that it, the resolution it outputs at, so that we can get it bigger. Okay, so you see how it came back a little bit?
commenting in a letter.
So we actually had some good volume over the weekend. That's really good for us for longs. Gives us a little bit more room. Yeah, you can't prove a negative. It's true. That's why I said, you know, there's no proof that they're actually doing something wrong. It just seems like there's a lack of things that I would expect to see. Yeah, it actually hit 180 last time, didn't it? It got up there. Although this was a little different. So this, I believe this one right here was Mount Cox. And then this was like the dead cat bounce. So yep. And that's the thing is that, I mean, I think that this could indicate that Tether is pumping price up. But again, it's not like a huge concern until we get to 150. I've never seen a time where it's other than in its infancy. But since we had a reasonable market cap, we haven't really seen a time where it stayed up there for an extended period. So if it does, if it stays there, we're definitely in new territory, right? Okay, so let's see here. They've cleared 130 yet? Looks like they've touched it a few times, but that we still wouldn't have been filled if we had an order at 130. Yeah, they did say that they have audits, but like that they couldn't make them public, or they were working on it. Well, there was, yeah, there was a couple of there. One of those other peaks was the Silk Road, the Silk Road crash.
From South Africa's rand, now at its strongest levels since March of this year. Currently looking at that one against the US dollar at 12.5865.
Still don't want to fill us at 130, eh? See, the problem is that
there's been a train derailment in the US. Too much into it just yet. Just coming through now. Train derailing in Washington State, according to it's an Amtrak. The company there saying that it's aware of an incident involving train 50.
Let's check out Twitter. See if there's more about that out on Twitter. Amtrak train that's always bad. Looks like Awaddle was trading oil again today. Don't blame her. It's another trader that comes into our channel that's pretty good. Yeah, well, it looks like they made a push down and it held really well. But look, they are selling it again. So let's see if they're right. So the Bitcoin futures at the moment are saying sell. They've been right a couple of times. We just kind of have to see. Yeah, if you find out how to make your hair grow fast, I would appreciate it. Because, you know, I liked my hair. I have ash blonde hair. It was fun when I had it, but it's all gone now. Okay, let's get rid of this spam. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them weak hands. It depends on the context, right? Right now, are they selling because they're getting stopped out? That doesn't look like that to me. I guess it's possible though.
We're hearing now from Equity News here in the UK. Barclays Bank is said to be in talks with the Serious Fraud Office on the Qatar probe deal. The probe relates to a 16.1 billion fundraising by the bank in 2008, and
Get a hair transplant.
Operating company charged.
I'd say generally speaking, yes. The biggest fish tend to use limit orders and icebergs to get in. But not always. So this guy buying at 130, for instance, I mean, that was 3,500 contracts. He was buying it at a high. So it wasn't somebody exiting a position or getting stopped out. So I wouldn't necessarily consider him a weak hand. But they are certainly trying to test him hard, aren't they? Oh, sure, like the... so I don't really need the... let's rearrange some things here. So let's pull up... there we go. Let's do that. And let's use like a 5-minute chart, I think is what you guys were looking at. Okay. Yep, that looks good. Closed out tab. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted.
Well, a couple of hours ago we reported about an incident at Hall RAF base in Suffolk. Just hearing now that the incident at Milton base not being treated as terrorism stage, Western security sources have said.
Where's my oh, there's my watch list.
And currently speaking in the Houses of Parliament, Prime Minister May says that Brexit
I wish
will
that
free
that
up
crypto
money
watch
for
that I could
spending priorities.
bring that up.
She's also said that without doubt Britain will be leaving in March 2019.
Where did you guys go here? Let's pull you back up. So the futures are bullish as they are higher than the spot. Well, so that's Bitfinex. GDAX. Oh, so they are trading at a little bit at a premium to GDAX too. So yeah, I would say that's bullish, but like I said again, we are, net down. Perhaps that is why the overall cumulative delta is negative. It's because people are trying to push the price down to get it more in line with the exchanges. Well, we saw that in the CBOE one too, didn't we?
Some more details coming through about that train derailment.
Oof. If you were forced to invest all your savings into Bitcoin and not touch it till the end of January, would you long or short? That is such a hard question. I do think there's a good possibility that in the next 6 months that we're going to have a massive crash, but that's almost kind of like a black swan truck trade, not touch it till the end of January. I would probably prefer long. So I think that if we're going to do that, I don't think that my indicator is going to hit before the end of January. So I think that the probability would favor going long, yeah. Yeah, that's a small futures premium. I agree. It's probably not indicative of too much, other than that, there's not a ton of people doing arbitrage at this moment. may also be indicative of the cost that you incur to if you were going to arbitrage. So the transaction fees are a little expensive. Probably not. How big of a premium are we trading though? 1900 to 18.5. So $500 premium. I don't know when the indicator will hit. I just take it day by day. Well, I don't know. It may never hit. I mean, if you're long, you want it to never hit, right? I think that's a really great question. You got to play the probability. I mean, right now, let's pull this out a little bit, okay? Like my 6-hour chart. Let's like make this big, okay? So here, this day when we moved up, that was a Thursday, right? That was a Thursday, and that was where a lot of retail people got in. Okay, so now we got above that price. Down here in the 1600 would have been a good, okay place to get, but I've noticed that every time we get close to that VWAP, so buying today, a little earlier when it was down, like when we first started trading, I wasn't a bad long. ACs, so that price value ratio chart, you can get daily updates on it on my Patreon page. So if you do the $5 subscription, then you'll get the update with Bitcoin and all of the other altcoins that I'm looking at. Although I do have to admit right now I'm having some issues with the scripts. So like today, Ethereum didn't run. There's a problem with the data set for some reason I need to fix. But yeah, I post that daily. And then I also have it set up so that it will show you like 3 days afterwards. So, you know, if you don't want to put the $5 down on the Patreon, that's okay. You just wait a few days and you can see where it was. But my plan is to post that every day. And we're using that money to put back into the stream. So there's a couple of things that we do for the Discord, like we have webhooks set up that that's a monthly service for that we can set up. And I'm also using that to do some of the programming, because it's a little hard to justify doing the programming when I'm not getting paid for it. But it's not to support the streaming, right? Because I do the trading. I have an account and I don't, you know, I'm just streaming mostly so that I can go back and look at it. And, you know, if other people learn from it, that's cool too. So I don't need money to support that. But, you know, we'll use it. We did get a couple of people to join in on the Patreon. So maybe we'll use that to get a better cam or something. At some point, I think we're going to need to get another monitor, because when there's really some liquidity in Bitcoin, we're going to want to be able to see the tape and everything. And there's not enough room for all of that. At least not enough room to put all of that on there and then still be able to see the numbers for you guys. So we'll figure something out for that. Okay, so on the miners thing, so I hear that a lot, that Bitcoin Cash is just so that the miners can stay profitable. What is it about SegWit and you know, keeping the block size small that is bad for the miners? So wouldn't the miners prefer to just keep it all of the market cap in one instrument and keep that one instrument being maximum profitable? Does that make sense? Wouldn't they make more money if there had never been a fork? Man. Still haven't filled that 130, dude. Okay, ASIC boost.
Some more Brexit news. Prime Minister of the UK, Theresa May, saying won't exclude Gibraltar from transition or from future EU deal.
But then that's why they didn't implement the SegWit change, right? So that's a good theory. So if your theory is correct, then that would mean that we will never see SegWit, or at least a fix for segregated witness, right? Because I know that SegWit is also a hack to give you more space in there. There could be a different fix to it. But if that's true, then they're saying that there will never be a fix to segregated witness in Bitcoin Cash, if your theory is right. Yeah? Is that accurate to say? Oh, so they do want to fix transaction malleability on Bitcoin Cash. So yeah, would you like to see the further out? Let's pull this up. So here's my control center, and I can open up a depths and cells. Oh, that's my demo account there. So BTC. Okay, so here's February. Right, yeah, there's February. So you can see they're really...
I'm just keeping a quick
I've seen a couple of people putting bids and offers up, so there's somebody has a...
in South Africa.
They're not really trading the further out moments.
Earlier, hit a session low around about 12.55 against the US dollar. Now bouncing back at 63.
Let's remove that. There you go. So yeah, so the further out months aren't really trading yet. I think what you're going to see is, obviously we need to get some more liquidity in the front month, and then once we get that, then maybe people will start to try and do spreads, which would be a healthy thing, but it's going to take some time before we get spreads. So
we're hearing that there's going to be a recount for the ANC presidency, said to be now underway, according to the news service News 24.
yeah, nothing in February at all, really. Let's look at the CME website here. Do we have? Oh, okay, here's that. So I was just looking at ASIC boost. CME Bitcoin futures. Okay, so there have been 5 contracts have traded in the later months. Wow. That's actually more than I expected there to be, though. Well, you know, and nobody... Yeah, here's the thing. That there's definitely an issue there with money laundering, right? Like, I don't... But, I mean, you can launder cash, too. And I really think that the thing is always going to be
Court of Justice is to have jurisdiction at the start of transition period.
yeah, I'm going to turn off the I'm going to turn the financial juice off because they're not going to say anything interesting for the rest of the session. Anyways, I think that they're trying to have all of the guards be there on the exchange in places where you can buy Bitcoin for USD. But that doesn't prevent you from, transferring a bunch of Bitcoin to somebody and then, they trade it for cash at the exchange. Now, how do you don't know where that came from? They can't prove it. So, if that started happening a lot, I agree. I definitely think that governments would have an issue with that. I mean, you should definitely have privacy, but the government also has to be able to verify that there's no money laundering. Yeah, now the question is, can they stop it? I mean, they could, the worst that they could do is they could say you can't trade USD Bitcoin anymore. So you would have to somebody would have to pay you for your Bitcoins. I don't know how that would work. I would say that it's the other way around. The futures are trying to follow the cash exchange right now. They're trying to predict what it's going to do, and it looks like they do an okay job. So remember we said, oh, it looks like they're selling here? And look, we came down. So they're pretty good at predicting it. Yeah, but I'm actually really surprised that there's so much outcry against IOTA. I mean, I had definitely heard things about it, but man, it really sounds like, especially those of you that are really pro Bitcoin, really against IOTA, calling it an outright scam. Well, they can stop, like a regulated exchange. Like a website like Coinbase could not exist if the feds put a stop to it, but you would just get pushed into dark web and stuff like that. I don't know if the government actually wants to do that, though. Like, if I was the government, you just go back and watch the last Wednesday when Chairman Yellen of the Federal Reserve was talking about Bitcoin. You notice she was very careful with her words. She didn't want to say something that would like cause people to sell Bitcoin, but she also didn't want people to think that they were going to do something with it. I think that the government wants to just keep hands off. They probably think that it doesn't have a long-term future and that it will just go off on its own. And so they'll probably just leave it alone as long as they can. Okay, so now we're back to that 130. Oh, did they touch 135? Oh, no, they touched 135 before we got out. This is the first time in a while that they've touched 13 even. Well, Alexander, that did happen. And you can watch the video yesterday and see it happen. But when you were looking at it, it wasn't because people were like selling the futures. It was kind of more like the futures came out, nothing too dramatic happened, and then the people on the cash exchanges started selling it. It's getting pretty late in the Treasury session. I don't know if they'll actually bust through this one. 13 even. But we have been having late moves. Usually I don't trade this late though. BOE and BOA don't want to legitimize it. There was another coin, I don't know what it was called, but when IOTA first bumped up BTC, in the BTC subreddit, there was somebody saying, oh, hey, here's this other coin that does the exact same thing as IOTA, but they've already solved all of the problems that IOTA has. It's kind of curious to me how slowly development seems to move for coins that are out there. That's the stock market crash. You think there's going to be a stock market crash here soon? Yeah. Maybe. I think something that we might be seeing happen is I think that a lot of the rise in Bitcoin is due to the fact that there's just so much money out there. You look at some of the things that people are buying. There's too much money in the market, and it's instead of going into wage inflation like it usually does, they're all just throwing it into commodities. And I think that some of the Bitcoin rise is due to that. Now that they're raising rates, maybe we'll see a little bit less of that. Yeah, well, the precious metals space was never really very... I mean, it was really great during the financial crisis, but since then it's kind of been meh. I remember when silver was hitting 50. Oh man, you could have made something like $5,000 on one contract in a day. That was crazy. Because they hadn't updated the margin requirements. It went up and they didn't update the margin requirements. Fun times. Merrill Lynch pulled out $30 billion out of stocks for fear of an upcoming crash. Well, I mean, it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2018. I actually think we might see an inverted yield curve before we see a recession. Just there's such a high probability of it happening because of the carry and stuff right now. And when I'm looking at the way that spreads are going, if the Federal Reserve makes a mistake, the yield curve is going to invert and people are going to freak out. Right now, things are just way too calm. And I think this is a reflection that the monetary system is so much more stable now than it was in 2008. And this was kind of the thing that I think people have always been warning, though, is that, yes, the financial system is safer, but it's safer because you're taking on much less risk. So there's less volatility. And less volatility means less reward. So, you know, people aren't making as much, and that's a problem. These purse thieves, these keep coming up. Oh, you think they cook the inflation figures, huh? There have been a couple of economic numbers that the revisions that they make later, I was like, you know, the market really moved when you released that number last time. And now you're basically saying that whole number really came in at what the market was expecting. And now the market's not moving off of it. Sharper sword. So I do have a video. If you go back into my video archive, I've made 2 videos explaining how the futures work and kind of how things would go. If you look at the last one, I really stress that it's going to take a long time for them to establish them. So I hope what you're seeing now kind of shows that, you know, we're pretty expected. We knew what was going to happen. Well, I mean, I don't think that they're necessarily printing all that much money right now, though, right? I mean, they reduced their balance sheet. They reduced their balance sheet, and I had a trade on the knob, expecting the knob to go up, and we did get a little bit out of that, but and then the market shrugged it off. So them reducing their balance sheet didn't seem to affect anything.
He said sleeping symbol, sleeping symbol.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the revisions, I mean, there's reasons for why they have revisions. I mean, that is a part of the methodology. But it sure seems like they've been really far off on some of the revisions lately. I don't know how you would investigate that. I mean, you can see the numbers that they put out. If you go and actually look at the actual report, I think most people only look at the number, but you can go in and read the actual report and see where they get them. They seem in line. But perhaps maybe their methodology should just be improved. Well, if we have a stock market crash, then we'll see what it does, yeah? So your prediction is if we have a significant crash, like let's just even 10%. Move 10 to 20% in equities down. That would be reasonable. And then see how it affects Bitcoin. Assuming that, you know, Bitcoin is still relatively stable. Yeah, sure. Let's make this really big. Okay, so no. Bring that down. Okay. Takes it a bit because it's big. So this break right here was when we started watching it. You can see there was some liquidity down here looking to get filled, and they gave up. See all these ones? When it came down, they gave up. They pulled it. I wonder if that means that they thought it was going to come down to here, and then they realized it wasn't going to do it, and they got out. I was seeing some selling here, though. There's also these ones. See, they put one here and then it got up to it and they disappeared before it got there. There's a lot of that, actually. They're taking them off before they get there.
ETH said painfully slow. I would like a pullback to VWAP. May take all day.
It might take all day.
Starting to get that feeling like we could push lower. 18, 12, 05 all my targets below.
Yeah, so I think the real question is why are we steepening today? That's going to be the thing that determines if we can go up or down. Okay, Eddie. So what you're seeing right here, this indicator down here at the bottom is called cumulative delta. And cumulative delta is all buys minus all sells. So it has nothing to do with the price. It's just when a buy order goes through, it goes up by 1, and when a sell order goes through, it goes down by 1. So we've been hanging out, you know, and sometimes it's being weird. I think that my cache has been a little odd because that's not what it was reading to us before, is it? Right now it says 14. Let's try changing the interval here and then changing it back and getting it to reset. Okay, that's more like what it was before. Okay. So we're like at 13 long. So there hasn't been a huge push in positions yet, but there was some shorting, especially earlier on. And now it looks like people are buying. It'll get better. I don't know what I wonder, I might have, I'll definitely have Pete from Jigsaw look at that because it doesn't seem like the cumulative delta is reading right. So when I made that bigger, it definitely changed, didn't it? I see now when I make it small, now we're at like negative 45. What the heck? Oh, maybe the delta only shows me from the start.
Heath said you still in that long IQ.
That might be why it's doing that. So if that's
IQ said why?
If that's the theory, then when I change this, yes, it does. Okay.
Eugene said watching somebody live stream from Seth. YouTube works fine. I have every 2 minutes to boot.
Yeah, I think that part of the reason why this is being weird is because I don't think that they have I don't have the session settings set up right. So the 0 should start from where the session starts, but we've definitely seen where people have tried to take some positions and then it moved. Man, that 130, I still don't think we would have ever gotten filled. Look at this. I'll show you on my one range chart. You see this pattern that we have right here, where it's basically stayed in that 2-tick range. I call it a zipper. I actually have some setups that have really high probability when it's gone for a long time. I actually think one of them, how many was this?
Heath said patience of a saint.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
LOL.
10, 11. So normally this one would have gone up. So that's a little weird. It's acting strange. But it's December. After the second half of the month, it's just kind of really dies down in December. At least that's what it did when I was trading last year. Has the future ever been below spot? I don't think. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I don't think it has been.
IQ said anguished face LOL.
I don't know for sure, though. I don't have a way of charting that, unfortunately, because NinjaTrader has no way of pulling data from the exchange. Although there are some people on Futures.io talking about how to do it. Somebody had something set up, but Ninja should get on that. Oh yeah, so it's a good point there, Jeffrey. It's a 1-to-1, so you can't sell it without somebody buying it from you. So when I use market delta, remember I said every buy it goes up and every sell it goes down. I'm talking about market buys. So every time that there's a market buy, it goes up, and every time there's a market sell, it goes down. So it kind of tells you how the aggressive orders are going. So again, I can show you here this chart again. If I zoom out, you can kind of see here, and it's been mostly flat. That the blue line is the cumulative delta.
IQ said puked.
We had this move up, and you can see the cumulative delta rise. Meanwhile, in the 5-year, the cumulative delta actually went down and the price went up, which is very unusual, and that usually happens because of spreading. So we can use this cumulative delta to kind of try and figure out what's going on. And it looks like part of this is that people are selling the FYT. So they're selling the 5-year and they're buying the 10-year. But only slightly. But this could mean that the 5-year is going to come off here.
Heath said nauseated face.
Down. It could also just mean that we're in a very slow, low liquidity day. Oh, short the dollar index? No, man, the dollar index is expensive to get. So I'll show you here. Pull my tab over. Okay, so AMP futures. So this is just to give you an idea of
IQ said MKT moved 13 ticks thus far, 1W1 loser.
So see, I'm paying for this bundle, all markets, it's $15, right? To trade the dollar index, you need ICE. $117 a month just to even look at the data for the dollar index. Isn't that crazy? You get it on TradingView though. They might finally fail here.
Heath said, I think I'm going to try a bounce at 18. It's moving slow enough. Heath said one contract though.
Nope, it still looks balanced.
IQ said 846 at 19.
Yeah. And that little order there at 19 just showed up too.
IQ said stacking.
I think they're going to push it down and push new lows in CB. Car, so I don't have any wallet addresses posted publicly. I don't know if that's... I do have my Ethereum wallet, but if you want to contribute, I would recommend going to the Patreon page. Because I don't want to like beg for money, but I do provide a service through Patreon. I just
go with the flow.
Yeah, let's definitely that. I do provide a service through Patreon where I have a valuation indicator that I post every day, some charts, and I also have some NinjaTrader indicators seen in post. So if you want to contribute, go to the Patreon page. And I tried to sell 120 and it didn't get filled.
IQ said grimacing face.
It was a little too late on that one. Yeah, I suppose $117 a month for the dollar index isn't that much, but it seems to me like most people that I hear talking about the dollar index don't necessarily want to trade the dollar index. They just want to use it as an indicator. So for me, I just use 6J. That's my dollar index per se.
IQ said, but no, I like to catch knives. Uneasy face, is this a hardwired thing into human skulls?
That's all they're going to take it, huh? Man, I don't know. So I still don't think this 120 is going to get filled. But normally you get a low volume node like that, we would just blow through it. Pretty disorganized. You know, I think that a Patreon-like application on Ethereum would be really cool. You know, something I wanted to do was make it, and maybe I'll still go and do it, but I've never tried making a dApp, but I want to make something where, like, if you send money to the Ethereum address, then it will send you back the chart or something like that. You know, so like a subscription service dApp, that would be cool. I'm kind of using it, Patreon as a subscription service, so it's a little different from how everybody else uses Patreon, right? Because most people are like, you know, allow me to become a full-time streamer, which is not really my interest. I just stream for a few hours a day. Still not filled. I think there's a lot that could be done with Ethereum that people haven't tried yet. I think that people are a little afraid to make applications and get hacked. Oh, okay. It says that I got filled there. I don't know if that actually would have filled in real life. It's only 72 traded there. Sometimes the rhythmic simulator is too kind. Ooh. Good offer put down now. We might get pushed back to 100. That's where I'm going to put my exit at. looks like the buyers aren't going to give it up easy. Look at that. I tried to push them up through. Sellers held. Yep, I'm putting my orders in on the 10-year. If you can trade the 30, that's definitely the way to go with the tick size and everything, but I just trade so much better on the 10-year, so... They're fiddling with the order book and switching between taking turns. Are you just playing games with it? Okay, I got out there. Just took one tick on it. Didn't really go at all, did it? Woohoo, we made $15. Are you excited? It's still good. Like, look at that. One more and I got 8 ticks on the day. Although I think that some of these are a little questionable on fills. The good ones, though, I definitely caught a good fill on that one. But that last one, I'm not sure if I actually would have gotten filled short on that. Okay, so it is now lunchtime. So I think I'm going to stop now. I have to go to the gym. I took the day off because I have to go to the gym, and then I'm going to be going to a Christmas party tonight. So I'm going to give it another 15 minutes. This, the other thing is that when I stream longer than 4 hours, I guess there's some limitations on YouTube. So before I go, last 15 minutes, you guys have any other questions about what you're seeing or how I traded? Or the Bitcoin indicator if you're interested in that. Alts are in bad shape. Well, you know, there was that really big push in all of the alts on Thursday, and since then they've kind of been coming down. So I feel like they're kind of doing that game where they'll pump the alts and then they'll pump Bitcoin and go back and forth. I'm sure you guys probably know that game better than me. So in Bitcoin, it's 5 coins. So he's basically controlling $100,000. It's less in margin, obviously, but you know, so if you consider 40 times 5, you know, so we're like 200 Bitcoin short right now, according to that cumulative delta. These ones, when you're looking at these orders, you're talking a ton. The guys that are trading, especially the 10-year and the 5-year, these are banks. These are like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, because it's $500 in margin for me to trade one contract, and some of these guys are trading thousands. So you know they're using $5,000 in margin every trade. Pretty nice though. $15 times 1,000 could make easy money if you had that much margin. So for somebody that's just starting out, especially in futures, so it definitely changes based on what market you're trading. Some of the indicators that I really like to use, you can't necessarily use in Bitcoin, but I believe that volume is king. I think any profitable trading strategy has to factor in volume analysis in some form. So a really good book I would recommend reading is Mind Over Markets by James Dalton. And he talks about time, price, opportunities, volume profile, and time profile. And that's a really good way to explain how I look at markets. And then I'm just doing it on a scalping time frame. Yeah, there's some serious money there. I mean, I'm only seeing orders of 1s and 2s going through. I don't think I've seen anything bigger than a 3 lot. So yeah, and obviously there's lots of indicators, but I'll show you volume-based indicators that I look at, right? So here is cumulative deltas. We've already explained it's buys minus sells. But another one that I have right here is VWAP. So that white line is basically the volume weighted average prices. So I look at every order that comes through and I times it by the lot size. And this tells me on average, you know, what people bought and sold it for. So right now we are trading above the average price. That's generally bullish. So I try to buy above and sell below as a day trader. If you were trading Bitcoin and they had a VWAP, I wish they did, and I was on a longer view, you would want to buy it below this because this means that it's cheap relatively speaking. So that's a volume indicator. And I also have this volume profile you see in the back here. So we traded a lot of volume down here. And if you read James Dalton's book, there's kind of some explanation of how you can use those for probabilities and stuff. So for instance, there's a high probability. You look at the previous day. you know, what was the most traded price, probably up here, and there's a pretty good chance that we'll try and go up to it. Yeah, TradingView has VWAP, but can you see it on the Bitcoin charts? I don't know if it works on all of the Bitcoin charts. Yeah, VWAP is definitely my favorite indicator, though, that you would put on a chart. Yeah, yeah, I know that you can use the VWAP on TradingView on Treasury, right? I'm sure you could do it on the Bitcoin future. I don't know if it works on the... Oh, it does work on the Bitcoin charts then? Let's look at that. So let me show you my TradingView chart. I don't pay for their service anymore. I did at one time. When I worked at the bank, I did, because that was the only way for me to really get data. So they only give that data to traders. Ding, ding, ding. Where is it? Chart. Yeah. So I have VWAP, so I could go BTC, cryptocurrency, Coinbase. Oh yeah, you're right. It totally does work. Yeah, so VWAP is one that I would definitely watch. Real quick here, I'll show you what I primarily do with this. So I look at ZB. I like ZB just because it moves more. And we go on a daily basis. And what I do is every time that significant things happen, I put a little mark there, and then we see where the market goes from there. So I think that's definitely an important thing to look at. I don't really believe in technical analysis in like the more traditional sense. Look at volume. Okay, we did flush down a little bit more. So I could have taken 2 ticks out of that one if I had held. Was it? Yeah, I got in at 120. So I would have gotten my 2 ticks that I was looking for. Maybe even the 4. That just means that my entry was too early. All right, let's just check everything here. Lots of subscriptions. Thank you guys. The subscriptions really help, by the way. Once we get over 1,000, there's some Facebook features or YouTube features that unlock. So really appreciate it. Okay, well, I'm going to stop streaming now, and I will pull it up again tomorrow, if you guys would like. And I won't be trading as long tomorrow. Only until about 11:30 Eastern time is, or sorry, not 11:30, 10:30 to 11 is usually when I stop. So, and of course, the market's going to be super slow. So, anyways, enjoyed talking to you guys, and I'll catch you later.